News Digest, 18th of March, 3307. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, the smell of burning. Why not Sol? Artisanal spaceflight. Familiar tools. The smell of burning. With the notable exception of Li Qingjiao Starport in Seoul, the fires are out. The evacuation effort is complete. 8 of the 9 stations attacked by the Neo-Malinist Liberation Army in their attempt to make life better for everyone are still smoking gently, but the repair teams are already at work, scrubbing off the bright green caustic enzymes that coated every external surface of the starports. After a tremendous effort on the part of commanders everywhere, Operation IDA, the station repair organisation, and many other similar organisations and individuals can swing into action, carrying materials to repair the stations. Judging by previous performance, these stations should come back online next week and the week after. At the same time, a massive effort is underway to bring much-needed medicines to those rescued. All sorts of medicines are needed, all the way from aspirin for headaches to prophylactics to help those rescued take their minds off the recent tragedy and the untimely death of Aunt Mildred by engaging in a little gentle exercise. All the way from bunion cream to those special medicines for special diseases, as advanced medicines appear to be described. Strangely, the one sort of medicine not required is the new miracle drug, nanomedicine, which has almost magical restorative properties. Perhaps the humanitarian budget doesn't stretch quite that far. It's also not entirely clear who will be providing these medicines to the Lave system, which is neither imperial, federal, nor alliance. With luck, the alliance government will make the same mistake the terrorists made, and treat Lave as though it's still part of the alliance. In Lave, Operation Orange Peel recorded more than 1 million lives saved during the evacuation, and of course many other commanders not using the Hutton Helper have also been hard at work. Even the Lave Station Archivist, Commander Phoenix Defire, has been rescued, and can be seen wandering around the rescue ship, muttering something about trying to find his miniatures and smouldering gently. There has been talk of prizes for those who contributed the most to the effort. Galnet News Digest believes that everyone who took part, no matter how small their achievement, should be rewarded equally for this Herculean effort. Why not Seoul? When the 9 Martyr stations were bombed a week ago, a huge effort swung into place to rescue the people who were trapped on board those blazing starports. A week later, the federal starport Li Qingjiao in Seoul stands out as the one starport that failed to attract enough rescuers to empty the stations and put the fires out. Why should this be? Does nobody love Seoul? Actually, it's all down to bureaucracy. Plenty of pilots have come in ready to rescue those trapped, but not many potential passengers had the correct immigration stamp on their passport, and getting the correct immigration stamp would require them working their way through the maze of twisted girders, walking through the waterfall of fire, braving the caustic enzyme lake to get to the passport office, which is currently closed due to having a massive hull breach vent all the oxygen from that part of the starport. Pilots wishing to conduct rescue operations may still do so, but please remember to fill in an absentee immigration form for everyone loaded on board and submit 1 copy to the burning passport office, file 1 copy in the Federal Archive at Warren Prison Mine in Ross 128 before you depart from the station, and keep 1 copy on board to hand in at the port of disembarkation. Failure to comply with this simple control is punishable by death for each occurrence of the misdemeanour. The Federation isn't entirely sure why Li Qingjiao Station is still in crisis, but President Hudson, who also needs to appoint a new vice president because of the uncalled-for goings-on at the starport, is not at all pleased. And do you know what President Hudson does when he's not best pleased? He goes to war with someone. Artisanal spaceflight. following this morning's appeal for medicines to help Federal, Imperial and Alliance systems, further details have emerged of the Alliance's offer of rewards to those who supply Safeguard Interstellar with the vital medicines it needs to do its job. The Alliance has come under some criticism for the nature of its offering, which, on first glance, looks a little underwhelming next to the Federal and Imperial options. The Federation is offering a really good, overcharged and armoured power plant, although at size 3, its application will be limited to Adders, Imperial Eagles, Type 6 transporters, Vipers and some specialised exploration builds using larger ships. The Empire will supply an over-engineered size 3 shield generator with thermal and kinetic resistance that will work really well in an Imperial courier. Both the Federation and Empire are also offering permits to their respective capital systems, and the Alliance is offering the same, although quite what you'd want it for is anyone's guess. Perhaps to visit the Lakon discount outlet, but you might not need to go there. The Alliance's special reward for those who come into the top 75% of participants is a Lakon Spaceways Type 6 transporter of your very own. Remember back when you couldn't afford an Asp Explorer and you thought the Type 6's 96 tons of cargo space was pretty good? Yeah, one of those Type 6s. And if you come in the top 75% of an appeal to hoard medicines around the galaxy and you don't already have a Type 6, then how are you hauling the medicines in the first place? Once you've sold your first load, you already have enough money to buy the Type 6. Well, we're sure it won't just be a plain old normal Type 6. This will be a special Alliance-themed ship. It won't have any of those engineered fripperies that the Federation and Empire seem to think we want. It will be a plain, simple, classic Type 6, wholesome and righteous, made the old-fashioned way by craftsmen, the sons of fathers who were craftsmen before them. The ships will have controls cut from the finest mahogany, real leather on the dash. They will be supplied with a two-tone beige paint job, and a special light brown nylon flight suit will accompany each purchase. The E-grade frameshift drive, the original factory-fitted drive, will come encased in a hand-woven wicker covering incorporating the Alliance logo. The authentic 3E shield generator will be made from artisanal papier-mâché. Who could not want this most elegant, this most desirable of ships? The 3307 stock Type 6 is sure to become a classic. However, one thing to check carefully is the stated value of this reward Type 6. The engineered modules supplied as rewards for recent effort have had a resale value of 0 credits. This means they make no contribution to the rebuy cost should your ship have an unfortunate accident, and that it costs exactly 100 credits to have them transferred to any station in the galaxy, regardless of distance. If this Type 6 has a 0 rebuy cost, that might make it quite attractive to certain commanders with specialised needs. Familiar tools. The Pilots Federation has been showing off some of the hand tools we'll get to use when we get the Odyssey permits, which for some commanders will be before the end of the month. They seem exciting and new, but also somehow familiar. The Profile Analyzer scans people, commanders or other folk, for basic personal data, and if you set it into overdrive, it allows you to clone the identity of those people, giving you their security clearance and letting you walk into restricted areas, and probably steal their credit card too. The Energy Link tool allows you to charge things up, possibly in both directions. You can plug into a socket and charge things using your suit's battery, or you can give them a nasty shock that may well break the sensitive security software, thus allowing you to walk into restricted areas in a different way. We've also seen glimpses of the exciting weaponry we'll be able to use when we're doing all that walking about, and we've seen the biological scanner that explorers can use to discover new plants. We really can't wait to see what other inspired new designs the Pilots Federation can come up with. And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.
Ladies Lave Radio. It's even louder than me. Hey, wait a minute. That can't be right.
The Lave Radio Project was our last best hope for news. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long, located in neutral territory. A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads, community members and developers. A shining beacon in space, all alone on a Tuesday night. It was the dawn of the third chapter of Elite. The year's space legs came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the Lavian stations. The year is 3307. The name of the place? Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 334 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix Tafire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder Bar for this episode, we have our Head of Health and Safety, Commander Adler Weiss, otherwise known as Ben Moss Woodward.
I find I'm going a little bit low, so I need to pump things up a bit.
Swedish pumps ready and going, is it?
Something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. We also have our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello.
Hello. Also, we would like to introduce everybody to our latest edition. Would everybody please be upstanding and salute to Staff Liaison, Commander Psychit.
Woo!
All right, crikey.
Yeah, see, this is the problem with Ben. It's just he's very excited.
Yes,
he's very excited.
I can tell.
And I was
Yeah.
just going to answer the question lots of listeners may be asking. Yes, she is a real girl.
as opposed to those fake ones that Ben uses, mostly with the bike pump.
Is that why he was drooping?
Yes, puncture repair kits. If you could bring them to Lave Station, he'll offer you a
New
price.
CG, everyone. New community goal. Bring puncture repair kits to Ben at Lave Station.
So, if you wish, you can join us live. We're hanging out in game. I do believe, Ben, are we?
Yeah, the whole reason why I'm actually low is I'm no longer in the top 75%. Apparently, I need to do 2 runs now and not 1 to get in the top 75.
Gotcha.
So I'm filling myself up again. Yeah, and
But
not using Rimmer's puncture repair kit.
yeah, if you say so. If you say so. If you can't get to us in game, you can always join us on the Twitch chat channel, which you can go and access through laveradio.com/live. You click on the live chat, or you go to twitch.tv/laveradio, or you can go to YouTube, look for Lave Radio, or even Facebook, even though we do get strikes from Warner Brothers for some reason. Anyway, we'll just go quickly round the team, see what they've been up to for the last week. And with hesitation, I will start with Ben.
Now, well, in that case, then I will wish you a very happy Atheist Day. And what other things have I? Oh yeah, I got some lovely shiny Expanse merchandise the other day. So about a year ago, the Idea Planet did an officially licensed Rocinante model. Now I couldn't justify the several £100 and several feet of space this model takes up, no matter how gorgeous it looks. But I could justify, a few quid and got myself some very, very nice looking badges, vinyls, patches, and things like that, which will be making their way onto my bag and things like that for cons and stuff like that this year, hopefully.
Fingers crossed, yes.
No, they'll be on my bag. Whether I go to cons or not is another matter.
Excellent. Right. Commander Shan, what have you been up to this week?
Yeah, in a sec. Got an announcement about Sovereign. We were told earlier on yesterday that Sovereign is not here because he's doing his hair. I did some further inquiries, and apparently Sovereign is putting his flounce hair style on because apparently he wrote to Elon Musk and said, "I'm an elite content provider. Please can I have a free Tesla?" And Elon wrote back and said, "No, you're not important." So he's got his flounce hair on at the moment. And as what I've been doing in real life, well, nothing much. I've kind of got a bit bored of lockdown, to be honest. It's about time we actually let out. In fact, the highlight of my week, out of game, this is how sad it's got, is going to the nearest closed hotel on a Saturday morning with Mrs. Shan with our flask of coffee and plugging in our car to get free electric for enough range for the week. So charging a car is the highlight of the week, and that's how desperate things have got now. So yeah. In game though, I'm busy doing the CG, and on my second account, I'm nearly at Beagle Point again.
Nice one. Very nice. Well, Commander Psykit.
I honestly, I cannot think of anything that I've done this week other than sit at my computer and play various computer games, predominantly Elite, of course, but yeah. I think I think my brain's addled from I had my first COVID jab last weekend. So I'm still not quite there yet.
Okay. Ben has a question for you.
So,
I'm
yeah,
terrified.
that's another thing. I had my first COVID jab on last Wednesday, and yeah,
Right.
it messed me up Thursday,
Mhm.
and Friday I was just kind of messed, but not so bad.
Did you feel like a right clot?
Yes. But I was going to ask, what other games do you play, Psychic?
Oh my gosh. Overwatch. I play a lot of first-person shooters, so Overwatch, Warzone. Um, those are my two. And puzzle games are the other things that I play a lot of as well. So things like Train Valley and Bloons Tower Defense and stuff like that. When I'm just wanting to while away time, when I'm not playing Dungeons and Dragons or something like that.
Do you have an idea of which Dungeons and Dragons class would apply to which crew member?
Oh God, give me time.
And
I'll
you're
get
working on it.
there. I'll get there.
Yes, there's an interesting question for for later on. Um, okay, let's see. What have I been up to for the last week and a bit? Well, obviously, I've escaped the carnage of Lave Station, which I was stuck for a week in one of those transport tubes with only recycled wine to get me through. That was not pleasant. In game, I have been obviously taking part in all the rescues and let's see, been doing a little bit of a side project where I'm trying to my own little hand at maybe something that might lead to Rexler. It's such a long shot, but it'll be interesting to see if it pans out. And on
Is
top of
it
that,
the elite law word search? You know, where you're trying to find Raxler in a diagonal.
yes, the elite Raxler Sudoku puzzle that will drive everybody nuts. And yes, I do have to thank Commander Beetlejude because she finished painting all the new miniature models, which I think I referred to. Are getting a package from her not so long back, and I put the pictures of those up on Reddit, and they've gone. As usual, when you put those models up, you get a fantastic response. And fingers crossed, if LaveCon happens, we have now new models ready for battle in the miniatures game at Lave this July. Shan.
Yeah, about the models, actually, I forgot to mention there was I got a friend who shared a house with me at university too many years ago, and he has access to a professional industrial grade 3D printer. And obviously, he knows I enjoy Elite, and he was an Elite player as well. And so he's made me a 3D printed Cobra Mark III original
Mm.
in black plastic with white lines on it. And he said, "Oh, you can go ahead and paint it if you like, and do what you like with it." And I sort of said, "No, I want to keep it as it was in Elite 84, so I don't want to paint it because it looks absolutely brilliant." And so I was, and it really cheered me up actually when it came a few days ago because I was kind of like one of those down, horrible wet weather sort of things like that. And he essentially completely out of the blue, and it's like, "Oh wow, that was a real lift up." So thank you to him.
Excellent. Yes, I must admit, we did. Some people from Frontier have seen them, so they do quite like the look of it. I'll post Bitstorm. I'll post a link in the show notes. So yes, right. Well, let's have a look at what has been happening this week then. With the development news, well, it's been quite a lot going on this week. We had Super Cruise news today, and they unveiled the Pioneer skin suit. Now, there are hints that on Thursday, Thursday stream will be about station interiors with a special guest and non-purple Twitch drops. Yay! So, first of all, guys, what do you think to these Pioneer suit skins? These are the ones that you get for your pre-ordering with the alpha, isn't it?
Yeah, are any of them female? Was it
Well,
like
yeah, they
Star
will be.
Citizen? Yeah, I'm just saying it's like Star Citizen, isn't it? With the models are all male and there's no
Well,
female player
no, I
models
think
in there.
no, there are female player models in Star Citizen, and just
Oh,
like
there is
there are
now.
female, yeah, just like there's female avatars in the game. I'm sure that the skins will be they'll have female models for the skins as well. I'm sure, and we'll see
So
that next week.
do you think they'll just go in at the waist and then that'll be it? 'Cause I'm just wondering
I,
how are you going to
That's
I
distinguish?
how
think it might.
armor works. Yeah, that's how armor works for a woman. You don't have specific armor to measure a shape. An armor for a woman would come out further at the chest, go in a little bit more at the waist, and take into account like a larger hip. or a wider hip for most. So they will have a slightly different shape to them, but at face value, they'll look almost identical, I would hope.
Yeah, because if you're talking about computer game female
We're
armor,
not
they
using
should
video
have
game logic.
bare midriffs, shouldn't they? And things like that. You know, the usual
This is a
tropes.
simulation set in space.
Hi, kids, you are allowed to hit Shan if you want.
I'm so tempted.
Oh, I can see there's going to be so much fun to be
Well,
had.
it was like boob armor though, isn't it, in Mandalorian?
I was waiting for that. I was counting down as soon as you said female models on that. I was counting down when you'd bring up this boob armor thing. We also have with us N2G7, otherwise known as N2, from all the way over the other side of the world, who's helping us out with tech. You want to say something about suits?
Yeah. So just a small question. What about the engineering for suits?
Well, they haven't actually gone into much detail about the engineering for suits yet. We know that there will be engineers. They will be able to work on suits and weapons and tools, and that's all they've told us so far.
What do you guys think about that? Like, having that engineer grind for your suit and your weapons as well. I'm on that grind right now for Felicity. So it's locked.
It depends on what the materials are, doesn't it? Because if they're saying you want 10 pharmaceutical isolators for a level 1 space helmet or something, it's going to be a bit of a pain. But if it's like 3 sulfur, it's not going to be too bad. So I'll have to wait and see, I think.
Psychic.
They've also talked about historically about unlocking things as well, which lead you can unlock upgrades to your suits, you can unlock upgrades to your weapons, which this is complete conjecture on my part. Is there going to be a little bit of an overhaul on the ways that you can get stuff? Is there going to be a way that you can collect as per usual? Grind out for those engineering materials, or might there be an alternative unlocking mechanism where you can unlock upgrades that way?
Shan?
Yeah, just thinking about the unlock. Do we think it'll be an either or do you think you'll have to unlock the relevant engineering upgrade before you engineer it? So, for example, do you think we'll have to do X amount of sabotage missions, for example, before we unlock the space helmet of lightness or whatever you want to call it? Or do we think it'll just be the unlock is the materials?
Well, personally, it's going to. I think it's going to be the unlock with materials, but the one thing that they have said is once you've applied one of these upgrades, that's it. It's locked in. If you want to apply a different upgrade, you have to go and you have to buy a different suit or weapon, and then get that upgrade applied to that weapon. There's no once the engineer's got in and done his jiggery pokery, you can't undo it. Ben.
I'm just thinking, why can't we unlock things using a variety of techniques? Some of it, yeah, sure, give me 10 widgets and you can have this. But other things, instead of 10 widgets, it might be, I need you to deliver some slaves to me or something like that. Or other things might be, yeah, I need you to prove yourself in combat, or, just like with the engineers at the moment, they've got a variety of checkboxes that they need you to go and do to make sure that you're worthy. I think it'll be exactly the same.
Shan, you got something about unlock?
Yeah, I was just thinking what Ben was saying is that because if you look at the engineers at the moment, you have to provide them with modular terminals or X amount of tons mined or whatever it is to unlock the engineer. And I'm wondering if that is what the unlock will be. You have to unlock a suit engineer by doing X, Y, and Z or providing some cargo or scans. So you basically
I suspect they'll be keeping the game loop the same, and you unlock the engineer, but we'll see later, I guess.
I feel like there is something extra that's coming just on the way that they've worded it, or the way that they especially during developer diaries, they mentioned you would be able to do this, and then you would be able to do X, Y, and Z and unlock things as you went along. I'm sure that was the wording that they had with it, and it was something that stuck with me for a little while. Well, since I've seen it now, and I'm just thinking maybe there is a different, not even like a different grind, but a different sort of like angle to look at it. Maybe.
Okay, Shan?
Yeah, well, if they are moving the game more towards an MMO open world structure, which all the indications are they are, then you would have kind of need to do certain quests or certain things like that to unlock or whatever it is. So rather just being unlock the engineer and you get that, I can see it being much more MMO style of unlocking
Mm.
things. I think. All right, we'll
Well,
find out in a week.
yeah, well, we will find out in a week about suits. Well, less than a week now, to be honest. The next thing that they showed has been the energy link pistol. Now we saw this being used in the demo that or the gameplay demo they did. Their official description is the energy link tool transfers energy between the user's suit battery and a target socket, and it'll also discharge powerful electrical pulses over a short distance. Obsidian Ant also noticed that this thing has multiple modes, so that'll be interesting. Does anybody think that this electrical pulse might also be used as a, I don't know, a stunner?
Yes.
Well, that was nice and simple. Yeah, Shan?
Yeah, it looks a bit of a strange tool because it usually needs a prong. I would have thought if it's going to be used as a weapon, it needs a way of focusing the beam or whatever it is. Because if you look at the design, just a flat head, so it looks as though it plugs into something and you give it a shock rather than being fired at something. So I just puzzling design. It doesn't have if you're going to use it as a weapon to stun, then I would have thought it would have had some kind of gun sight or something on it.
Well, it could
Well,
be a melee range weapon.
They said there aren't any.
Like,
well, there's
so
Oh, go on, Ben.
whilst I really, really hope we do get stunning mechanics, the last I heard was that stunning people leads to the potential to execute people, which leads to an 18 rating. And Frontier need to work that mechanic out to make sure that we can't kill someone who's stunned, say.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's a
they
great
could
shame.
they could actually just say it, just do a bit of hand waving and say, right, okay,
Yeah.
once someone's down, that's them down, and
Exactly.
you know.
But hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. If there are games that I've played, and sure the other people played, particularly where we have a CC, or you have a stun mechanic, or you can freeze a opposing player or do something to prevent them doing an action. They don't need an 18 Peggy rating just to prevent an action by stunning.
But they're also not FPSs.
Yes, they are. Or they're third person games. I mean, drink if you like, but Guild Wars 2 has stunning mechanics. Age of Conan
So does Warcraft.
has a stun mechanic. So
I'm afraid to say I have to disagree. Most of the ones that you're discussing there, Shan, are MMOs. I mean, I thought that Deus Ex, which does have this kind of stun mechanic in, I thought that was just a 15, so it'd be fine. But no, Ben's right. It's an 18 rated one because of this issue that you could stun someone and then set off an explosion that could kill them later.
but if you prevent them being killed, then the rating wouldn't apply, would it?
Well, no, that's what I was saying. Maybe they're going to come up with some hand wavium that says, right, okay, once these NPCs are down and knocked out, they can't be hurt by something else.
Maybe. See, I think it's a shame because I would have loved to go around the station with the energy link, sneaking up behind someone and going.
Well, that's what we're hoping will still be in there.
We'll have to see. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's contact only.
Yeah. Next up, we have the profile analyzer. Now, this is basically scan. It's like the what do you call it? The kill warrant scanner. A scanner targets data for personal information, but it can also be used to clone security profiles so you can access restricted areas. I quite like the look of this one, even though it looks like something out of Ghostbusters.
It's a bit obvious for a stealth mechanic, isn't it? Like, if you're wandering around one of those in your hand, you think, "Oh, no, they haven't cloned anyone, have they?" Yeah.
No, but it's this guy. All security personnel will have one of those anyway, because it's to scan other people. Are you okay? Beep. Yes, you're fine. Okay, off you go.
Yeah, but you as a player wandering around someone else's base with one is a bit suspicious, isn't it?
I don't think so. Not if everybody's got them. Well, from the profile scanning, we moved to the art cutter, which we also saw in the gameplay demo. Now, this basically generates a beam which is specifically designed to cut through sturdy metal, but not sturdy arms, legs, or heads. See,
Because it stops at flesh, does it? So it's a plasma beam of thousands of degrees Celsius that is resistant to stops when it hits flesh. Okay.
hey, yeah, it's a smart beam. We've got smart bullets that will only shoot at enemy ships. So why not have a smart art cutter?
Or do you think it's like a lightsaber that gets swung around like anything and never ever lops an arm off that isn't intended to be lopped off?
I'm pretty sure that if lightsabers start lopping pieces off, there's nothing that stops it, really.
Yeah, but if you look at all the acrobatics for Jedi's and things like that, the way they swing lightsabers around, you're even learning about them. You'd think there'd be lots more one-armed Jedi's around rather than just three.
It all depends whether or not they got the high ground. Right. Next, we have the genetic sampler. Now, this is one of the first tools we saw, which was the which everyone calls the Dyson Hoover. The genetic sampler collects and indexes samples from simple living organisms. So, yeah, that's. I'm sorry if you point that at me. I'd probably be more scared of that than the cutter, to be
It
honest.
looks like a head massager, doesn't it? It looks like it's due to you put it over someone's head and it like massages their scalp or something.
Actually, knowing you, Shan, it'd be a head crusher because it's one of these jaws that would just crush.
Drill. You just drill into the skull.
Uh,
Genetic lobotomizer.
yeah, it just reminds me of Marathon Man all of a sudden.
I'm so desperate to see how this one works. Like see it actually in action as opposed to just seeing a still of it. Because it genuinely does look like that it's going to come out like a big giant claw and just grab at something. And I need to see it.
Claw. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could do, couldn't it? It could be like like one of those grabbers in
Mm.
the old amusement arcades where you grab hold of a sample and it just drops out at the last minute when it gets close.
Well, it's not going to be very good then, is it?
Maybe this one won't be programmed to do that.
Actually, it reminds me of. Oh, have you? Well, for those people who have read The Expanse, in the one where they're all on Illus and the scientist there is going off doing all this probing stuff, and I remember there's one time she goes off and looks at a mimic lizard who's just eaten another thing, and then she just kind of like grabs the two of them while it's being eaten, and then like, I'm sorry, this is for science.
Oh yes, I remember reading that.
Yeah.
I don't think the
Because, like,
Expanse has got that in the
lock-
TV series yet.
It doesn't have it in the TV series. No, they didn't do
Right.
that.
Right, gotcha.
I don't even think mimic lizards made it in, unfortunately.
Mm.
But the idea of the scientific probe that they use in the book is like sort of like goes out, grabs an area, and then sort of yeets it in, and everything goes into a state of death, basically.
Yeets it in. Oh, someone's been talking to the youth, haven't they?
Down
You
with the
can
kids. I keep telling you.
You've been playing Roblox too much. Roblox, rather.
Yeah,
The
I know
next
what you
one.
mean.
The next one that we have is the Supertech Artemis Explorer Suit. Now, it's specifically designed to help pilots investigate and research brand new worlds and biological life forms. So it will go hand in hand with the genetic sampler. I'm looking at this, and there seems to be a massive pack on the left-hand side of the suit. I'm just wondering if that's where the sampler actually goes.
Well, the one in the middle's got a big fanny pack, haven't they?
Well, that's what I meant. I mean, fanny pack.
But-
Ah, dear.
No, it's curious, isn't it? There's is the Explorer suit the one that's built for stealth and lockpicking and infiltration and things?
No, that's the I think that's the scavenger suit. The Explorer suit is just there. It will, from what I understand, you'll have longer range, longer battery, and be able to survive in environments a bit better, or for longer rather. But if you took that into combat, you get shredded pretty quickly.
So do you think the fanny pack is a big battery then?
No, I was saying that the fanny pack, that's where the genetic sampler would be.
Or is it the rucksack?
Well, the rucksack's supposed to be a jetpack, isn't it? We've seen them use jetpacks.
Don't know. Find out, I guess.
Yeah, yes. And then we have, yet again, the controversial frag grenade, which is an explosive grenade that will damage everything within its blast radius. Looks a bit thermal detonator to me.
It looks doesn't look anything like a thermal detonator.
Looks exactly like a thermal detonator.
No, it hasn't got the little glowy red lights that go around the circumference of the grenade, does it?
Well, it'll certainly make you glow up if we throw it at it. So, I mean, yeah, a grenade's a grenade, isn't it?
Someone in chat just says a holy hand grenade.
Yes, you've got to go 1, 2, 5. In other words, to throw it properly.
It does raise the question that what other kind of grenades are we going to get? And that could be
EMP grenades, wasn't it?
I can't remember what things they've said, but it'll be interesting to see what we get.
Because I thought we were getting either EMP grenades or plasma grenades. I can't remember
Would
which. I'm sure they
we
were.
have something that affected shields though, because if remember in the
yeah,
we talked about this of the week, they talked about having grenades and missiles being able to attack ships. So it would be logical to have something that would try and damage a shield as a grenade.
yeah. So an EMP against shields, and then the frag against you.
Yeah.
So my next question is: can I have a Class 4 grenade EMP grenade launcher on my Corvette that just fires 100 out at a time?
That'd be fun if you could just chuck them out the back window, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they're called mines, aren't they?
Hmm.
N2, you got something about grenades? Oh, I guess he's busy.
I'm back. Hi. Sorry.
Yeah, you got something
Couldn't
about
unmute.
grenades.
Yeah, so I really like the design of this grenade. You all know how grenades work, right? So basically, frag grenades, when they explode, fragmentation is the thing that actually kills people. And if you look at the grenade, they've actually designed it as such that it has specific fragments that look like they're designed to explode away and injure people.
Yeah,
So I really like that detail.
Although in
regarding
theory you
multiple
wouldn't.
kind of. You're saying something, Sean?
I was going to say when you mentioned about the fragments, you wouldn't need very big fragments to kill someone, would you? You just need to puncture their suit.
Yeah, exactly. But that's on worlds that that have a different atmosphere or something. But on a normal world where you don't really need a suit, then I guess you would need some decent chunk fragment to actually kill them. On the topic of other grenades, EMP to strip shields and then frag grenade to injure people. Plasma does both, but not either of them perfectly. That kind of sounds like something that I would see, considering sort of what we've already got with ship. That's one thing they mentioned a lot. They're trying to balance the combat on foot to be similar to what we already have with combat with ships.
Yeah. I just like to point out to the chat room. No, this does not mean you can use the holy hand grenade against my bunny. Leave him alone.
It
He's
wouldn't
fine.
work. It would melt it. It's a Xeno bunny. It's not any old bunny. It's a Xeno bunny. So
Yeah, you got something more on these grenades then, John?
yeah, I was thinking. There was a mention of it in chat as well, and I was thinking about talk about stun mechanics. Well, an option or one thing that you use today is flashbangs, being able to blind or disorientate a player. So that wouldn't necessarily incur a high Peggy score, would it? If you want ways of stunning a player, if you had a flashbang or something like that, which would temporarily blind a player, then maybe. Don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it could be a possibility, but they've never mentioned anything about that. So, yeah, we are now at 6 days to go before we get our hands on the alpha. However, I think it's only fair to mention that according to the news that we've had, specifically the article from January the 13th, they say they're planning to do a phased release. So the chances are we won't be getting Odyssey in one complete go. It's probably going to be like the original alpha that we had, where they unlock each section after they're happy with it. And do you guys think that's the right way to go?
I think so. I mean, if the purpose of the alpha is to actually test and give feedback, then it's precisely the right thing to do. And I think that's a very good way of doing it. But I think also it should set people's expectations as to why we're actually playing it. We're not playing it just to get a look around and muck about and see if we like it or not. We're actually there to help Frontier produce a better product. I think it's absolutely the right thing to do.
How many of
Anybody?
you actually played the original alpha when Elite came out?
It'll be me and Ben, definitely.
Because I didn't, and I was just wondering how that worked and what that was like.
They had something called a pill, didn't they? It wasn't the bubble. It was like
No.
a
What happened first was that we started off with just the basic flight combat, all in a single player.
Right.
Then they moved to multiplayer, where there were these 4 scenarios, and we all got sidewinders, and we could upgrade to Cobras, but you just basically hyperspace to each of these scenarios and try and get as much credit as possible, so that you could upgrade the sidewinder or to the Cobra. And then after they got that particular part down, they then moved to this 5 system beta, if you like, which was this basically 5 systems where we would test all the trading and all the combat and the combat zones and things like that. Then they'd moved it out to what was called the pill, which was basically you could see the entire galaxy, but you only had access to this one small section. I think it was about 50 light years from end to end. And then finally they said, right, off you go. You've got 2 weeks to test it in the full galaxy, which I thought, oh right, okay, I'll wait until it's been released and then start. And then just before they released, I said, don't bother about that. We'll just let you carry on as you're doing. There won't be a reset, which made me lose 2 weeks. Not that I'm bitter about it.
I made loads of money then.
Yes, you did. And everybody else was about 3 or 4 ranks higher than me.
Not my fault.
Well, if they'd said we're not going to do another reset, I would have been matching with the rest of you. But no.
I think in this case, it's pretty much certain there will be a reset. And if it is a limited thing, if they are progressing, as you said, Colin, they're doing a little bit at a time and then expanding out to a smaller area.
Mm.
Do you think that implies we won't have our commanders as they are, but we'll be loading from scratch?
It would explain why they haven't given us a date of a snapshot yet. Because normally by this point we would have
Yeah.
heard when the snapshot was taking place, for like we did for the fleet carrier beta. We got given that snapshot date so we could go, okay, let's rush and get everything ready, get into the places where we needed to be ready for a fleet carrier kind of thing. But
Yeah,
that
'cause
hasn't.
Yeah, that has not happened this time.
yeah, and
So
also if they were going to limit us to an area, they would need to move all our commanders back into that area because everyone's scattered all over the place.
yeah, I think at the moment. Oh right, Ben.
What I think, hope, pray we're going to get is, dear commanders, welcome to Odyssey Day 1. Go.
What, the
Go.
whole thing?
Yeah, no, I think it'll be, welcome to the new commander experience.
Mm.
You are a new commander. Please create your avatar, select your skins, go through whatever tutorials, do the entire Odyssey new player experience kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into Odyssey, whatever the base is for Odyssey with no, just whatever the base commander is for Odyssey.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ben. Sorry, Shan.
I'm still
Yeah,
Ben,
I was,
yes.
I was just thinking, Ben, when you were saying about that, I think you're probably right actually regarding how it would work, and it's a new experience. But do you think they will carry over our account unlocks, so to speak? So, like, some of us will have got the Frexpo flight suit, and we'll have bought other flight suits from
Not to
the.
not to begin with. I think it'll be, please roll a new commander.
And also, with that in mind, they said that it's optional whether you start with a ship or not. Do you think they will start everyone on foot with no ship?
I think we'll get, whatever they decide the new commander experience is for people who buy Odyssey and roll a new commander, whatever they decide that to be I think that's what we'll get.
Mm. Right. Well, I think we'll just move on from the development news this week. So
get ready.
Yeah, so
LAVE
you
radio.
there, Colin?
Shan, there was a sting there. You just talked
Everybody
over the
heard
entire
you.
thing. Right.
Aye.
We'll sort that out in the edit as usual. So I'm so sorry, Chris. Every time something like this happens, I think we should have Shan apologise for saying sorry, Chris.
I think the good thing is that Shan's got me on permanent mute, so I can say whatever I like about Shan and he won't hear me. That's my theory. If you have any argument against it, Shan, just say so. Just reply to me, Shan, if you don't like me.
He's on push to listen. Don't worry about it.
So we'd just like to reassure everybody that we're up to our usual standard of professionalism here.
If I'm allowed to talk now, in mitigation, there is nothing in the show notes that says pause for whatever. It's just straight into. And I thought Colin had frozen up out of nerves or something.
Ah, dear. Anyway, we shall move on to the Psychic. You're so glad you joined, aren't you?
Deliriously happy.
Yes, this is how it's done. Is this why you pay your license fee? No, you don't actually. Never mind. Anyway, in-game events. What has been happening this week? Well, on the 17th of March, anti-NMLA intelligence unit was formed. The Alliance, Empire, and Federation have created a centralized agency dedicated to investigating and eliminating this paramilitary group. It's the Affiliated Counterterrorism Unit, or ACT.
That sounds completely naff. Because anytime there's a centralized agency, there's always like a rogue agent who wants to buck the system because the agency doesn't listen to what they say. Q
Jack Napier.
24, yeah, core 24 cliche here, you know.
Yes. If there is an agent in there that has got a young teenage daughter that's uh, just ripe for kidnapping, we know that's exactly what's going to happen, isn't it? How many times was that poor girl kidnapped over those series? It's phenomenal.
Ironically enough, I'm watching season 2 of 24 at the moment. So thankfully, in season 2, she only she's working as an au pair, and then the family she's working for turns out to be an abusive father. Then she goes to the hospital. Then she goes to the police. Then she goes to the police. Then she goes to the police, and then she tries escaping from the police, and then the police catch her again. Then she goes to some weird psycho in the woods. After a cougar tries to eat her.
Yeah, the space cougar in this case. It'll be a space cougar. And we're not talking about the Empress either.
Oh God!
You leave my Empress alone. You leave my power play leader alone.
Well, is she or is she not a space cougar?
Like I said, you diss her at your peril. Did you hear that? I am allowing a full-on hit from the Emperor's Power Play Legion to go after Shan. How's that? Right. On the 18th of March, medical supplies were needed for Starport bomb survivors to reinforce their overstretched health services. Basic medicines and advanced medicines to be delivered to 3 starports using Kylo Ring, the Hebo system, Mackenzie Relay and Semius, and Davis Terminal in the Dumatra system. Now, the rewards for this seem to be quite interesting. For the Alliance side, which is the Hebo one, you get you basically get a free T6.
Is that as punishment?
Yeah, but it all depends whether or not the rebuy is the same as what you pay for it.
I think if someone offered me a T6, I'd give it back.
But Shan, a free T6 means free rebuy. It means it's a free troll ship.
Well, trolling me certainly is, yeah. It's an Acon, isn't it? It's going to be no use to anyone.
Sounds like it could be fun to park outside and with just 1 hit point, though. Does that still work?
Yes, special bonus points go to anybody who can take Shan's ship out with a T6.
Can we allow a keelback in there as well? Because a keelback's basically a T6.
Yeah, there'll be people just ramming the free T6s into Shan's ship.
Like dive bombing swallows.
That'd be amazing. I'd love to see that.
Do you know what the rewards were for the Federation and the Empire?
Yes. A
Cool.
a hybrid armored and overcharged power plant. For the federal one, it's only a 3, a size 3 one, and then there was a shield generator that was a size 3 shield generator for the Imperial, but thermal and kinetic, I want to say.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right. Thermal and kinetic.
Do you think they're all designed to go on this free T6?
They might well be, which is, implies interesting things, doesn't it?
I feel like it's the Type 6 is a better reward than those two. I think they're rubbish. But I'm done with hauling for a little bit, so
Yes, I must admit,
Well, it's not really hauling in a T6, though, is it? You're not really hauling any. It's like it's like it's like getting a 5p plastic bag from Sainsbury's after you forgot your bag for life, isn't there? Really?
right. Well, moving on from that, on the 19th, the private investigators Eric Gunnison and Francesca Wolf, those that did a lot of work on the previous Halloween event, they have reviewed the Neo-Marlinist Liberation Army. On the 22nd, ACT is now gathering intelligence from the bombings of from 3 superpowers. And we also have to thank Operation Ida, Lave Station was repaired on the very same day that all the fires were put out. Now, we've got to take your hat off to them because they obviously like the brandy. And we're expected to be operational this Thursday. Thanks to the fact that we're broadcasting from the Lave Radio bar, and that we've got a backup transmitter in Diso, Lave Radio broadcasts have been transmitting as usual, and we're sorry about that.
That's actually really good. I take my hat off to Ida and all the people who helped repair Lave Station, because they didn't repair Sol. They think, well, humanity's homeworld, we can let that burn for a bit. They didn't repair the Empire or the Federation, so too bureaucratic and whatnot. They didn't even repair the Alliance ones. They went with the independence of Lave, and I think that's a real credit to them. So thank you.
Yeah, and we also have to thank, of course, the Hutton Orbital Truckers who
We have
put
to thank
out.
Psykit, who did a shitload of trucking too.
I was
Right,
going.
I
For goodness
did.
sake, I was
That's
going to
why
get
I'm
to that. Psychic, go on, blow your own trumpet.
It sounded like you were wrapping up.
I did more than Ben for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely saw that on the list.
Yeah.
And
You
my
rescued more
faction was
people.
second.
Yeah, you rescued more people, I believe.
I did.
Yeah.
I rescued more people and delivered more stuff, I believe.
No, you didn't.
Did I not deliver more stuff?
No.
Oh, sorry, my faction did. My bad.
I think
Yeah,
you're
I
both.
think.
I think you're both missing the point, or the main point. I rescued people as well.
Yes, Shan, you get a congratulations. I took part of the mission as well.
I get a special badge. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I rescued people. I was nice. I was kind. I was humanitarian. I didn't sell many people to Etienne Dawn, so yeah.
Yeah, you were nice and humanitarian because they didn't feel a thing. And two, you got something about the rescue ship?
Yeah. So, funny thing, if at any point while Lave was burning and you hated trucking and decided to throw your ethics away, the rescue ship was buying medicines for, if I'm not wrong, 4,000. Sorry. So for 4,972. And there was a system like one jump away, Tionsler or something, Tionisler or something like that.
Yeah,
And that
Tionisler.
sold that basically sold basic meds for 40. So
Yes.
a fully loaded T7 gets you 1.5 million per one-way trip.
Okay.
And that's about 5 minutes.
Right. So at this moment in time, I have now been supplied by a massive list of all those people that helped. So first place was Hutton Orbital Truckers. We have to thank everyone over at Hutton for this. It's glad to see our sister radio station did help with Orange Peel. The Privateers Alliance, Operation Ida, the Star Sultans of Swagger, Ed's 38, Mobius PVE, and of course everybody who is in the Lave Radio Network squadron for helping out as well. So that's the main people. We also will thank anybody else who did make a contribution. It's always nice that Lave Station was the first to be fixed, and we actually really appreciate being able to go back to our own offices. So
I don't have an office there.
Yeah. Right. The following station, well, all the other stations still need repair, I do believe. So people are dashing around trying to fix the other 8 broken systems. But isn't there one station still burning in Seoul?
Yeah, there is.
Is it still burning?
Yeah, it's
my
burning
God.
at least until Thursday.
Yeah, it
I
was.
think there was a metric that certainly was maybe set a little bit higher for Seoul.
I don't know.
Thinking that everyone would just like rush over there and try and rescue that instead of everyone going and helping out Lave.
That's really funny. I think they should have it burning forever.
I've not been back to Seoul since I went there on Thursday or Friday or whatever it was to gloat, basically. And I might have gotten ganked in the system, but that's by the by. but I've not been back there since I was there to gloat.
Right. So, I think it is that time of the evening where the theme tune comes out.
Store alert! Store alert!
In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. A store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert. Which one will you buy? A store alert, 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 a store alert. Which one will you buy?
Here we go. Welcome back. Thank you to GN Tracks, as usual. The store alert this time was lovely paint jobs for your Diamondback Explorer. Any of those paint jobs jump out of you, even if you don't like the Diamondback Explorer?
Why would I buy a paint shop for a ship I didn't like?
I don't know. Maybe they're desperate. Maybe the paint job's that good it'll make you go, "Oh, I'd like that
Uh,
paint job on my ship."
In fairness, I will say the paint jobs have got a lot more detailed from previous ones. They've got more variations of the patterns and the colours and things like that. So in terms of quality of the paint jobs, they have got much better, even if the actual subject isn't anything that appeals personally.
I mean, I really like that black and orange paint job for the Diamondback Explorer, and whilst I don't have a DBX, I love its silhouette and I love how it behaves. I just don't have any room for one in my. Well, I just don't have any need for one.
Yeah, I mean the thing about the Diamondback Explorer is that it's one of those ships which, once you've got one of the upgrades, you don't need to go back to it.
It's actually a really good upgrade if you're starting the game because
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a great ship.
I'm
Well,
not
it's-
saying it's a bad ship. I'm just saying that it's one of those ships that, as soon as you've got past it, there's no incentive to go back.
I flew mine today.
Oh,
Yay.
psychic. June.
I love my DBX. I love it to pieces.
Same.
I'm unsure why I haven't bought that pink skin yet. It feels incredibly unlike me to have not bought it yet, but I don't have it. But yeah, I love my DBX. I fly it all the time. I will choose to go back to it above other ships.
Wow. Now that's the first. I mean, I'd used the DBX for a little while, but for some reason I just couldn't. It felt too flimsy next to the Asp, so I'd always go back to the Asp.
if you're talking general purpose ships, it's actually pretty good because it's pretty cheap, but it also has a large hard point and two medium hard points, which means it actually packs quite a punch, particularly if you're in the resource zones following the police around, trying to kill stuff and making money and credits that way. So as a starter ship, it's actually pretty good.
Not to
I know-
mention, with any decent engineering, you can get it to around 40, around maximum I've seen on Coriolis is 70, but that's when you engineer literally everything. A good decent amount of engineering will get you around 50, and right now mine's at 42.
I mean, as an exploration ship, it's okay because it's got a bit low on an internal space and things. But for a general buzzing about the bubble ship, it's only what, a couple of million? Fully
Yeah, I
loaded?
mean,
That's
yeah, I can understand that, but I just have to point out that, I mean, the way that it's the feel of the ship that I don't like. It feels too flimsy to me. I prefer something more solidly Asp-like. I mean, does that sound weird?
No, not at all.
No.
You like
mean,
the
I'm not-
DBX, but it's no Asp.
Yes, I'm a fan of my Asp.
is Ben a fan of your Asp?
I hope not. Anyway,
Is your asp full of methane gas?
I was going to say, is his ass around Uranus? Sorry.
Right. Before this gets even sillier, we are going to take an advert break, and then we'll come back with our main discussion.
I was overseeing the delivery of some slaves to the starport in Exios, and a cleaning robot had just washed the floor, but not left a warning sign. I had to run after a slave that was escaping, and I slipped and fractured my wrist. I was delayed for 10 whole minutes while the Medicomp repaired the damage. My time is billable. Can I get compensation?
Yes, you can.
I was on a regular trading run back to Sol, and it was my job to repaint the outside of the ship. I was given the wrong kind of EVA clamps. Nothing bad actually happened, but it did give me a fright. Can I get compensation?
Yes, you can.
I was checking some robots through customs when I distinctly heard an official call the robots clanks. I was deeply offended, even though I'm not a robot myself. That's their word. You're not allowed to use it. Can I claim for moral outrage?
Yes, you can. At Cowell and McGrath, we are now taking any kind of legal action. No case too small, no justification too frivolous. If you've been lightly inconvenienced, embarrassed, or in any way put out, then someone should be made to give you money. Don't be a stupid clank.
Excuse me?
Cowell and McGrath, taking on any case, playing the percentages.
To whoever is in charge of the Alliance these days. Actually, I think it's Mahon, isn't it? I met you once at a party over at Lave. Did you know you look an awful lot like that Antonacci chap? From Cecil. That's me. I'm a Hutton trucker for the mug. Is better. Regarding Lave, little place full of people, used to be yours, hasn't been for a while, and it's on fire. Or it was. On behalf of those ever so lovely people over at Lave Radio, they're good friends of ours here at Hutton, don't you know? I'm writing to you to clear up a few things. Number one, we really don't mind you throwing parties over at Lave. The last one was quite good. If you remember, we met over a glass of gin or two for the mug. Had a lovely chat about your surname. You remember, I asked if you were from the Balearics, or had an allergy to milk products. Lovely condiments your family make, by the way. Perfect in a nice sandwich, or to dip my chips in. Anyway, I think you want to fire your record keepers, as they appear to be a little bit behind the times. A few centuries. You see, Lave's not yours. They don't want you. They think you smell. Number two, your misguided belief that Lave is still an alliance system seems to have caused a little bit of a brouhaha. It seems like a bunch of bad people actually believed you. They set fire to the station because they think you smell bad too. Problem is that you went there, which means that they missed. And got those lovely people at Lave Radio instead. I mean, this safety officer has gone missing, and that poor Eddie Leewise chap's not doing so well after his kilt outlet burnt to the ground and his sporran got singed. I did that once, but that's a different incident. Number three, brandy. Particularly the very orange one they make over in Lave. Well, it nearly caught fire, and that would have been a disaster. Not least of which is I'd have to put my false teeth in normal disinfectant at night, and it just doesn't taste the same for the mug. Yeah, actually, in a mug, but that's beside the point. And then we come to point D. Even after you threw the party and stuck your little flag in something that's not yours and convinced a bunch of terrorists that you lived there so that they could do bad things, you haven't even had the proper decency to include this ever so little but very well-loved station in your plans to help out all of the people who were hurt. And for that, we say that you smelled really bad, like cheese. Not the nice kind, the other kind, that has been left out in the sun a little bit. So, on behalf of all of us, would you kindly disabuse everyone of the notion that you've got anything at all to do with Lave? Unless, of course, you're sending help, in which case we might let you put up a little blue plaque or something, probably on the back of the cubicle toilet door. Yours sincerely, me. I tell you what, I'd better do one to the NMLA too. To the NMLA. From me, Cecil. Regarding the mess you made. Would you kindly pack it in and bugger off? Please find enclosed a special bottle of gin that I took the trouble to filter thoroughly for you as a goodbye present. Yeah, that's better. Lots of love, Cecil. Yes, I think that's succinct and to the point. Perfect. Now, where did I put those stamps? For the mug.
Lave Radio, transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
And welcome back. Once again, we must thank the Hutton Orbital Truckers and Cecil in particular for contributing to the show today. If you want more Cecil, you can find him as a HCS voice pack, and I do believe all proceeds from there go to Special Effect, the Special Effect charity, which is very close to all our hearts. So if you want more of that, and of course his ability to make alternative suggestions to your piloting, then we heartily recommend it. So, moving on from there, we are here for our main discussion. Now, this week, we asked a question about exploits. Now, this was mostly due to the fact that we had something last week where, was it Hawks Gaming? He had a kind of unique way of making money by shoving his ship into a low combat zone with really high shields and the turrets set on automatic, which generated quite a lot of money for him. The main question is, we asked the forums, would you use exploits like this? Are there any things you consider okay that others consider an exploit? What is the too much? Basically what's taking the mickey. Does it make a difference that it's a multiplayer game? And what about exploits in other games? Right, Ben, you had something that you want to just kick us off with? Or is it just me talking to myself here?
Sorry, I thought I pressed the button, but I hadn't. Am I in the room now?
You are in the room.
Yay. Yes. So, yeah. When I'm playing multiplayer games, I don't use anything that I consider an exploit. And what I take on an exploit is probably stronger than what I think most people consider exploits to be. I think it's I won't do anything that I think breaks the intent of the developer's goals. So, for example, back when we were playing the Gamma of Elite Dangerous, rare trading was redonkulously overpowered, wasn't it, Shan?
I've got no idea what you're talking about.
And I considered what people were doing with rare trading and the multi-billions that they were making to be an exploit, and as such, I didn't partake. And that got proven out that Frontier agreed that they also thought, hang on, this ain't right, because now rares have got a limit on them, and you can still make okay money, but it's not ridiculous. Same idea went with a lot of other things in Elite, and there's always the credit of the quick credit of the month kind of thing. Going up to we had the egg fairly recently, things like that. And I've never joined in any of these. But on the other hand, when I play single player games, RimWorld's a key example, or Mass Effect and things like that. I just cannot be asked with the material grinding for them. I like, in RimWorld I enjoy the base building and things like that. And so if I need 10,000 wood to go and build a base I like the look of, I'll give myself 10,000 wood to give myself the base I look at. And same idea with Mass Effect. I just I just go and give myself all the mats because it's an aspect of the game I don't care about.
Why am I surprised that you said you wanted so much wood?
Well, I like ironwood as well. And advanced components, they're a bear to get. Plastile's awesome.
Did you like rubber as well, Ben, for the puncture repair kits?
No, rubber. You don't get rubber in RimWorld, as far as I'm aware.
So, I mean, would you have considered that particular thing, that particular activity, an exploit?
To be honest, I actually don't think I do consider it an exploit, because it's intelligent gameplay, and it's not making you bajillions per hour, and it's something your ship can do while you're asleep. And you're also at some risk, if not a lot of risk. You go into a solo game mode, you go into a low res area, and your turrets just take down any pirate who comes and scans you. It's if your computer's just sitting there, I don't have a big deal about it.
I mean, personally, to me, it feels a bit like botting.
I wouldn't say it's bossing, because
no,
you're not
it's
using
still
any
got
bots.
the same. Yeah, I know you're not using any bots, but it feels like it's all automated. Shan, do you want to quickly jump in?
Yeah, I just want to touch on a few things that Ben was saying. Is on the whole, I do agree with Ben. Is that there's a clear, is this the intent of the developers for this to work? And for example, in a raid, it's possible to glitch a boss so they get stuck behind a piece of scenery and can't ever reach you. For me, that's exploitative or rather cheesing gameplay that it doesn't require any particular skill. It's just knowing how to glitch
It's
the AI.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
I mean, I'd say reverse key in Elite is the same sort of thing, really. In terms of what Ben was saying about rare goods, and it's not like it was now, because if you remember, Ben, there was a limit to how far you could plot your course. So I don't even think it's as far as 100 light years. I think it was like 20 light years. So you actually kind of, a journey of the 140 light years to maximize your profit from the rares was quite a feat. And you needed to have at least a 20 light year Cobra, which again took a considerable amount of time to really get it to work. So it wasn't just like an I win button. There was a degree of skill and stuff in that back then. In terms of the turret thing, and I mentioned this last week with Guild Wars 1 and the 55 monk build, but there was also a trick, I'll call it a trick, where in one of the Guild Wars expansions, you had these AI players you could take with you and that you could skill and gear up and stuff like that. And if you got a clever enough build, you could sit on top of a piece of scenery and let them do all the fighting for you, in which you gained rank points for a certain thing. So that's similar to me. That's similar in my mind to this turret cheesing thing. Now, I don't really call that an exploit either, because it's still a degree of cleverness to get the build to do that. It's not just a press, the button and win thing. So that's kind of a grey area. What I would say about, there being no harm in exploiting or cheesing kills and stuff like that in a multiplayer game. I know Subari and I have had a discussion about this a few times. Well, I actually say, yes, that is an issue, because stuff you do, although you can say, well, if I get 1 billion credits or 10 billion credits through this, I'm not actually harming anyone but myself. Well, actually, you kind of are, because the way they balance these games is they take metrics of what's being used the most and what's being done, and that then reflects back into how the PvE game is balanced. So if someone's cheesing it and making it too easy, then the balance will be tweaked upwards to make it more difficult, which then negates using any other build or any other tactic, because it's now been balanced to cheesing mechanic. So it's not quite as simple as it doesn't affect anyone else. It affects the game balance, which then affects everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, as far as exploits are concerned, they fall into really two major classes. The first ones are genuine bugs, where people exploit the bugs in the system. Like the engineering bug, where everyone got 5th level modules for handing in 1st level mats. I mean, those kind of things were definitely unintended consequences due to problems with the code. The real issue that we have is basically these these extreme use cases, where they're not able to test every single use case, because the combination of them are in the millions. And it doesn't take the player base long to actually find that 1 in a million use case that they can really hammer and get a load of money. And that's the question: is, even though it wasn't intended, should you take advantage of that use case? Now, I've always had a trouble with this, or the automated turret thing, because you can just switch you can just. There was this issue where you've got 2 ships just firing healing beams at each other, while all the rest of the turrets just take down the rest of a combat zone, and that to me felt as if, well, that's not really playing the game. And of course, if you take out combat zones, you do affect the BGS. I really don't understand why they had this automatic turret option. It's just one of the things that I have a little bugbear about. But I would say, as far as those use cases are concerned, it's up to Frontier to close them down, and not if they think they're unacceptable. If they don't close them down, then people are going to carry on. Shan, you got a response then?
Yeah, I was thinking about. I completely concur with you. Is that it's Frontier's responsibility to fix such cheesiness. But I was also going to ask it's almost kind of a moral question, and I know people are going to be falling off their chairs right now, but if you discovered a technique, let's say if you discovered a way of making 300 million credits an hour, and you kind of know it's against the spirit of the game, or it might be in a grey area that you can morally justify to yourself, would you continue using it until you've got everything out of it you wanted and then report it? Would you report it as soon as you found it, or would you just wait for it to become well known after telling your mates and letting them get what they want and then reporting it?
I'm definitely the second. As soon as I discovered it, I would report it. But then again, That's because that's the kind of person that I end up being, which, call it boring if you like, that's what I do.
I'd sort of throw the question out to people, listeners as well, really, because I know there are people who find exploits, use them to the max, and then once they've got what they wanted, they then put on the halo and say, "Well, look, I've reported this exploit," after making etc. for themselves.
Anybody else want Psyche? Have you got something to say on this exploiting bit?
In the whole exploit, and I've seen people comment on this on the thread as well, sort of like saying define exploit, because essentially, if you want to relog at a Guardian site to get more Guardian technology components, that could effectively be defined as an exploit as well. So, and it kind of is. I kind of look at it like anything that makes you benefit by doing something that isn't fully in game. For example, going to a high grade and then logging out to make that high grade respawn again. That's exploiting game mechanic. So, I think we're all maybe a little bit guilty of occasionally doing a relog to get something. Back in the day when people board flipped to get stuff. That's something that they took away specifically because it had a
It was unbalancing, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Well, Dav's Hope is there to board flip, isn't it? Or log in, log out again. That's what the whole thing around Dav's Hope relies on, that, doesn't it?
Exactly, and that's an exploit. That is exploiting the game. You're no longer in the game. Your sense of immersion is removed by doing that. So it's tricky to say that there would be a blanket. I'd never make use of an exploit because it's like, yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do the things that go out and like sit without a I wouldn't go out and sit with turrets going and all of that malarkey and be able to be AFK and do that. But back in the day, yeah, I did Heelys for Feelies to get some engineering materials. You know, and that's all exploiting that the game mechanics that were there at the moment.
Right. Okay. Going through the rest of the forum thread, has anybody got any highlights that they want to discuss? N2?
Yeah, so I guess I can offer a different viewpoint. I've been playing Elite for a very short time compared to like all of you, especially like Ben, who's been playing since Alpha, right? So for me,
so is Colin.
Yes, and Colin as well, right? So I'll just read out what I've written in the forum. So as a relatively new player, I watched those get rich quick schemes, relogs and other exploits. And a lot of people have mentioned it really depends on who's playing, because Ben generally wouldn't do those, but I'd happily relog HGEs to get mats or mine void opals, and I'd do it as long as Frontier Dev didn't implement something or they just said it was okay. If I'm not wrong, relogs were allowed by FDev. Read it on a Reddit post quite some time back, and it was their choice to let that be a thing. And I'm still a student, so I'm busy. I have a lot of project work and I have a lot of homework, and so I don't really have all the time to run all the way from Diego Andre to Ria to some other place to get mats and climb ranks and stuff. And so I just like to do the fun stuff like exploration and to have a good ship. Doing relogs just gets me there faster and fun. Like that. Coming to other games, I've used trainers in Payday 2. Because it was so funny with all the dumb shit that you could do with trainers. And I only played with friends or solo, and I didn't get I didn't really care about being labeled as a cheater, because in Payday, once the game detects that you're cheating, it gives a big red label on your name and says cheater, and I didn't care about that, so I just had fun cheating in that. Uh, Also, like Ben, I've given myself infinite money and tons of stuff in Cyberpunk. Because on your second or third playthrough, it's funny. But I would like to just comment on what Slangeland said. And he said, I quote, "I truly feel sorry for those who feel the need to cheat. Their lives have become a means to an end instead of an experience of itself." I think that's very important. Uh, because there's a difference in using cheats, like a controlled environment, like single player or co-op, for fun. Keyword being fun. Dumb stuff like anti-gravity or guns that shoot chickens. But it's a whole different ball game when you use word.exe in a CS:GO tournament, ruining the name of your country and the entire community you represent. I'm looking at you, Nickel. Yeah, that's about it.
Shan?
Yeah, I think there's a definite differentiation between single player games and multiplayer games. I mean, the thing that springs to mind is one of the things I used to love doing in the Command and Conquer games, which shows my age, but was editing the files to be able to, I don't know, get your APCs to carry 100 soldiers, or the turrets to fire 5 times more rapidly than they should, and basically, or you get your lasers to shoot things halfway across the map. That kind of silly mucking about for fun. And to be honest, I messed around more with the Command and Conquer files to make it do silly things than I did play the game. But I enjoyed the game because I could mess around with the files. And yet, with a multiplayer game, I'm much more cautious, not necessarily because I'll get banned or anything like that, but because it is kind of self-defeating in a way. So single player games, knock yourself out, do what you like, no one really cares. Multiplayer games, you do need to apply a conscience to how you play, I believe. And I know this is rich coming from me, but this is, serious now.
Ben, were there any entries on the forum that you found interesting?
I was going to mention some people's questions about third-party tools and things like that, but you said you didn't want to go into that level of conversation.
Well, yeah, I mean, the third-party tools themselves, I mean, they're not... That it's getting into the level of, well, if that's the case, then is it just because it's got the entire information of the game, but it's outside the game?
I think that's, some people consider, let's say for sake of argument, we're looking for advanced medicines. Now, I could try and use the in-game tools to locate a planet with 700, or locate a station rather, with 700 in-game medicine.
Right.
And wish me luck there. Or I could jump onto EDDB and it'll go off and search through everywhere, and it gets updated automatically using Frontier's own log file. But it'll tell me, well, okay, go to Bob's Hope or whatever you want to call it, and it's got 10,000 medicine. Now, some people consider it an exploit, some people don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is that I haven't had to use those ones because I know in your example, I look for the high tech, the closest high tech system, and I'll take a chance there. But yeah, Psychic.
I wouldn't necessarily say that apps, like the third-party tools like EDDB and Inara would be exploiting per se, only because they're just compiling the information in a better way than Frontier is in their game. And if anything, that information should be in the game and easily accessible. So I personally feel like everything is doing us a favor with that. I think there's a line to draw, where it's like, okay, we can relog at a place, but then doing something that's a little bit more AFK, make money, exploit is is wrong, and I don't know. I don't know necessarily whose place it is to decide that.
It should be Frontiers.
It should definitely be Frontier, but then if something is considered an exploit and it's recognized, then it should be patched out really quickly. I'm a little busy at the moment as well, so
Yeah, I mean, I do remember when the game was launched and these sites came along, they were definitely frowned upon by Michael Brooks, who was the project lead at the time. He didn't like them at all because basically he felt that it was taking something away from the game itself. But I must admit, they've become second nature to me, especially in Ara, because there are times when you don't want to spend half your game time flying around all the stations trying to find that damn one module that you need.
I think if you remember the tools, I think the first tool certainly that I came across was Slopey's tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was dodgy because it scraped the memory, didn't it, to
The
fill in the
first
database.
iteration of it did, yes, and you got slapped down for that. And then you had to enter it in by hand.
Yes, and then now they use the log file. So
Well, then you had an OCR thing, if you remember. You took a screenshot.
Ah, that's right. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So-
in the alpha, you could take a screenshot, I think it was, and then send that off to it, and
So
then
if you-
that was awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Yes,
Sorry.
yeah. So if you're looking at the exploitometer, so to speak, if Frontier didn't want EDDB, and the like to exist, they wouldn't put the information in the log file. Surely.
Yeah, I mean, originally those log files were really there for the Apple app, wasn't there? Because there was an
Yeah,
app.
that's where it started out life as.
Yeah. N2, you want to talk about EDDB?
Yeah, so regarding that as an exploit, well, EDDB and all the other stuff, it's essentially like player generated data, and at the end of the day, I do believe Frontier even has an API accessing
do, yeah.
logs and such. So, like I said, Frontier's basically allowed that, and that's their decision because it's their game, and they said, okay, this stuff is completely fine. And another thing is that it could be some people do think that is kind of an exploit, and that 1.5 million per run thing that I said earlier regarding the rescue ship. Yeah, I found that through EDDB. So sort of like that. But I guess it really depends because for the first for like the first month or so when I played Elite, I just didn't use it. I was like, I'm not gonna use EDDB or stuff like that just for a month just to see how it would be like. And in of itself is also quite fun gameplay, like trying to live in Elite and work to Elite rules and having that confinement versus going out and searching up that information on EDDB. So, yeah.
Sean?
Yeah, I was again just sort of listening in, and I think when it comes to the EDDB and whatever, we need to come back to the "is it fun" question, because EDDB and its ilk make things easy, but it doesn't necessarily make it fun. And you have to ask yourself the question: is what happens if there's an update that breaks the third-party tools? So I would say you need to learn how the in-game tools work first before you start messing around with third-party tools, just in case they suddenly don't work anymore or cease to exist. And also, it's part of learning the game. How to use the trade tools, how to use the system state, and indeed the system type to find and do certain things. That's all part of the in quotes fun of the game. So I would encourage people to use both.
Right. Was there any extra points that you saw on the forums that you think you should bring to mind here? I mean, I'll just quickly scanning through. There does seem to be a lot of there's define exploit. I mean, one of
I've
the
got
biggest.
one from.
Go on, N2.
Sorry, yeah. I got one from CK Narf. Taking advantage of any ridiculous gold rush that FDev bumbles into is part of the elite experience. So, you can even use major ones as like a timeline. What CK Narf says. In the past, money making was like a proper slog. What I heard, and that will cause these gold rushes to be flooded by players. So you'd have tons of money, tons of gankers, and tons of glorious fights. So they're like spontaneous community goals, and they produce great moments. But then again, some people think those are exploits, like Ben.
Well, Wiki, if you believe Wiki, that is, defines an exploit as the use of a bug or glitches, game system rates, hitboxes, speed or level design, etc., by a player to their advantage in a manner not intended by the game's designers. So,
Yeah, well, that also covers the not only bugs but also these extreme use cases that that I was trying to highlight. But yeah, I mean, one of the interesting side effects of these kind of exploits is that, and as I think that N2 was mentioning, is it does seem to bring players together in a kind of concentrated area. And surely that's a good thing. If you could come up with something a bit more like that. Remember when we were all mining in the same place
Yeah.
for the overlap. That place was flooded with players. The chat window was absolutely flying
Oh,
by.
buzzing, wasn't
There
it?
was, yeah, there was great communication, and it felt like a serious community was happening there. And then ever since they closed down the stuff about the triple hotspots and things like that, that's dissipated and it's kind of lost something. I mean, yeah, Sean.
I think I empathise with what the feeling is, but we have to also look at the other point. We talked about it about game balance. Is that if you concentrate the players in one place due to one of these exploits, then it kind of has a knock-on effect to all the other areas in the game, because you then start thinking, well, you've got everyone all in one place. You can't sustain a game with everyone all in one place. You have to have something to try and encourage the players to disperse. And then you then start thinking, well, do you nerf the reasons why people are there, or do you give encouragement for them to move somewhere else? Maybe make a quadruple hotspot or something like that. So there's a game balance question that comes into account. That's a side effect of having all the players in one place for a significant amount of time.
N2.
Yeah. So, like Shan was saying, right? It is all about balance. And one thing I've seen is I've basically gone my whole time in Elite not meeting any real human players, except for that one time where I think it was the first or second time that I ever came on Lave Radio, and I met Ben on in game. And there was just the other time where I had to call a fuel rat because I'd managed to not pack a fuel scoop on my way to Lave. So that was about it. I've never encountered a human player ever since or before that.
Are you playing in open
And so
or private, or where are you
I'm playing
playing?
in open. I'm in
Okay.
open, complete open. And so I've never encountered human players. I've been to Limbava, I've been to Ria, uh, been to Diaguandri. Honestly, is famed all over the galaxy for having the best outfitting, and that literally is my home station, home system. And yet I literally see no one other than
What about at
the
CGs?
tons of. I've been to a few CGs, but that was about it. And like, I think I met a few people, but I couldn't really tell whether real or one of those bots.
Ben?
I'm just wondering if part of the reason why N2 isn't meeting a lot of us is because obviously you're playing in a different part of the world. So your ping time, you pinging me, is going to be significantly lower than pinging somebody else over in Asia, or possibly even Australia. I don't know how their routing's going. But I'd imagine an Asia Pac player will find more Asia Pac players, but I don't know how many there are. Even though we are maybe the third biggest podcast ever in Thailand or something.
Number 1 in New Zealand, aren't we? Or number 2 in New Zealand?
Oh, I can't remember.
Psykit.
Have you ever been to Desia, N2? Because go to Desia, I'm sure you'll run into somebody.
It might not be very friendly, but you'll run into them.
Well, no. But just go to Desia, see what happens.
Yeah, I think we should
All
start.
right, you know what? I'm gonna plot a route to DCAT right now.
Okay.
Okay.
I think
it's a
we
good
should
job
start.
we're not going out live, isn't it?
I think we shall now put out a Lave Radio appeal. If anybody sees N2 flying about, please be nice to
Kill him.
Please be nice to him. Give him a wave. Send him an 07. Let him know that you exist out there.
Nothing says.
Is your commander name N2 as well, or is it something?
Yeah, it's N2G7.
Right.
So same as Discord. One more thing, DCAT. That's Felicity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there before. I've been there multiple times.
Remember, nothing says hello nicer than a railgun.
True.
Oh dear. And next, I can't believe you're sending him to. Well, let's hope that.
How many
It's
jumps are you?
probably a matchmaking issue here that.
It's going to Felicity, not Etienne Dawn.
No, you know what it means. It's sort of the matchmaking system is going to try and matchmake into people who are local to him, and then
I thought you meant
further
that
out.
Etienne Dawn's kind of matchmaking.
No.
Yes.
I think Ben was thinking of Space Tinder, Colin.
Again, it's just there's no end to it, is there? Right. No, we did have some responses to this on Twitter, which was basically normally no. No,
Yeah.
we're not exploiting at all. There's only about 5 of them.
Yeah.
So
I did like one person actually. He's like, for legal reasons, I have to say no.
Was that from Broadcast Cobra by any chance?
I probably should let their name remain anonymous as well.
Miggles has just said in chat, he has to agree with the N2. Asia Pac players do tend to see less players than people elsewhere in the world. And he cites an example of trying to meet up with you, Ben, but that might be because you're behind the bike sheds and he's out front somewhere. But
Yeah, I mean that is down to the matchmaking system, isn't it? Because there's a certain criteria that you've got to be within a certain ping before you're included into the instance. So
yeah, and even sometimes even when you're winged in, your ping's just too high that they nope you out.
you can play Elite via VPN, can't you?
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm just wondering, as a test, you could VPN to Australia or Asia Pac and see if you get instanced with N2, and then not use a VPN and see if the same thing happens.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. Yeah, Vanity is suggesting we do Lave Radio in Tagalog.
Well, in that case, I should probably learn Tagalog.
Probably. Although he's also saying VPN's not going to help you ping.
Well, yes, it'll help us in the situation because if it increases
It'll increase my ping.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what the thought was, if you increase your ping sufficiently to be about the same as N2's, then you could, in theory, stand more chance of matching with him. But no, just a thought.
True. I mean, I've met Ben, like I said,
Yeah, you did
my
manage to get
first,
in
second
eventually.
time with. Yeah, had to jump out of the system, join a wing with Ben, and then jump back in.
Right. Well, we're going to move on from the exploit discussion. I think we'll just touch on a couple of things that have been happening in the community this week. Commander Massa has made a space shanty. Now, I've not heard this. I mean, do we have it available?
We do have the shanty available if you want to hear it.
Well, I've never heard this, so if you don't like shanties, people, then obviously you're not hip and trendy these days. So,
Space Shandy.
Oh, good grief! Someone switch on his hearing aid.
There once was a game they called Elite. Its world was huge and its graphics were sweet. So much to do and much to find, and so much grind. 'Twas in the year of '84 that Braben's game could first be bought. We hooed and howed at wireframe ships and all his coding tricks. Just wait till Odyssey comes. We'll fly and drive and run and gun. Look how far the things have come since 1984. It's not one game but several games, equipped for battle or for jump drive range. Play several hours, but it feels like one to get the mission done. I got my mug from Hutton Orbital. The length of the journey was remarkable. One free conda and a cup of tea, and that's enough for me. Just wait till Odyssey comes. We'll fly and drive and run and gun. Look how far the things have come since 1984. One day I'm hunting for a Thargoid pelt. The next I'm mining in an asteroid belt. As much immersion as I've ever felt, and so much grind. Just wait till Odyssey comes. We'll fly and drive and run and gun. Look how far the things have come since 1984. And if you've liked this song, just watch again and sing along. And if you're going there, then like, subscribe and share.
Well, that was excellent.
That was great. I like that.
Maybe it's our age, Shan. It's sort of the shanties that seem to appeal to us old people.
No, it sounds like the sort of song you'd hear sung in dwarven halls or something, wasn't it? You know,
Or sailor bars, really, to be honest.
I hear that shanties are making a big comeback among the youth at the moment.
Yeah, that's why I said, if you're all young and hip and trendy.
I know, right?
Yay!
As to the youth, I can confirm that.
Speaking as a representative of the youth.
So, are you our resident youth demographic then, N2? Is that what you are? You're a token youth.
Yep. Anytime Lave Radio needs the youth perspective, I'm here for you.
Yay!
Yeah, because Silverine's got too old to be a youth now, hasn't he? even though he can now officially put his hair in a man bun.
Moving on.
Yes, moving on. I think we shall hit any other business now. Ben, you have something to say about Saturday night?
Oh, yes, I do. So on Saturday, when I don't crash into this upcoming star, on Saturday I'm gonna be on the chat podcast with WK Jez and Boss Lady B. And normally system chat, it's very It's not scripted, but it's very organized apparently, usually. And for this episode, they've basically decided, we chuck the script out the window and go. Now, Jez is saying this is because he wants myself, Tokoso. I need to find the show notes of the other guys because I can't remember the names off the top of my head. Tokoso, Captain Archer, and Vithka. So Captain Archer is a Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous streamer, and Vithka did a third-party app actually, called, I think it's not ED Discovery, ED Observatory, which basically sends out an alert if you're approaching somewhere that's like, hey, this could be of interest to you. Which I thought that's a really good idea for an app. Speaking about third-party apps, and yeah, basically, Boss Lady B and Jez have decided that on Saturday they're going to throw the rules out the window and just see what happens. So that could be interesting.
Yeah, can they handle the spontaneity that is Ben Mosswoodwood?
Who knows? Well, I mean, I'm actually being half serious. Witherspoon and I wound up having a lovely chat that would have made a brilliant show on Saturday or Sunday mid-morning. But unfortunately, we were just too busy talking to each other to even think about it. But that's by the by, I suppose.
I think so.
Yeah.
What's this about Royal Blood?
So, Royal Blood, the guys who did the Out of the Black, which was the music used in the Elite Dangerous main trailer that we had, the big cinematic trailer. They're doing a concert in Roblox's Bloxy Awards on Saturday, I believe it is. And maybe N2 as the youth might have a feeling about this. I always feel very dubious about logging into Roblox because it always feels like it's being played by people my son's age, and that makes me feel very, very worried.
Especially when your username's called Daddy Ben.
Well, my username on Roblox is not Daddy.
Not Mummy, is it?
No.
That's Uncle, isn't it? It's Uncle Ben.
Very good with his
I'm
rice.
not kind of rice. But yeah, I'm going to be intrigued what that says, and I almost want to log in because I like Royal. I bought both of their big albums, and I like a lot of their other songs as well that aren't in sort of like an album. So we'll see what happens.
So like the singles, basically. And so I've just taken a listen
like mini
to
album
one of
or
their
whatever you
songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've taken a listen to one of their songs. I don't really know them because I've not really been in the UK rock scene for anything more than 20 minutes now.
Fair enough.
But honestly, their sound is really nice. Another thing that I do is music production. That's also why I kind of wanted to join a podcast, because audio editing can sort of go across the two fields. But I really like their sound, and Roblox, like Ben did mention, it really is a kids game. It was made for kids to play, but if you think about it, though, a lot of the developers are actually like 25, 26 compared to the general demographic that's
so
actually
as far as
playing
we're
the game.
concerned, kids.
Oh, okay. In that case, yeah. As far if you consider 24, 25 kids, then I'm probably a baby, a newborn at that point, basically.
Yeah, I think you've got to remember that both me and Shan could probably be the same age as maybe your granddad. So
I beg your pardon. I'm not a Shandad.
You're not a Shandad. Psykit, would you like to mention what's happening to you on Saturday?
Yeah, I will. My stream team, Flight Assist, you may have heard of us. We do another podcast as well sometimes. We're having a round table for Odyssey on Saturday night, much later than yours, Ben. But it's starting at 11. over at, on the Flight Assist channel. We're doing our second roundtable. Because I forgot to record the first one because I'm bad at
Oh
doing
no!
just FYI, that should be an opt out rather than an opt in option. Twitch, sort your act out.
You can't. There's no way. You got no way to recover it.
Nope, no way to recover it. It's fun.
Oh,
It's fun.
no.
It's excellent times. Excellent times. Super happy about that. But yeah, no, we're doing another one on Saturday night from 11 p.m. talking about like Odyssey expectations because Odyssey's on Monday, so it's right around the corner.
Yay! We can get excited about Odyssey coming on Monday, can't we?
Well, I've actually booked Tuesday off. So
Okay.
yes, it's the good old never play on patch day kind of thing. Okay, another couple of little any other businesses. Star Wars Squadrons. For those of you who claim this thing on Twitch, you can now claim your own purple helmet.
I'm sorry.
A helmet which is purple. You can claim them on Twitch.
Yes, the
Ben
Prime
has
Gaming.
gone mysteriously silent.
I'm just telling you that there are helmets which are purple available for free for Star Wars Squadrons if you use Twitch. So there you go.
Have you got a purple helmet, Colin?
No, I've yet to claim mine. Yes, and finally, we do have to give a shout out to Parallel Rules. For those of you who are missing our Souverine, you can find him over on the Parallel Rules podcast, doing a fantastic job of a snot stealing goblin. It has to be heard to be believed. Right, does anybody have an idea of what we could ask for the community question?
Well, do we think there's still mileage in the exploit question? Because at which point would you report an exploit? Or what you consider to be an exploit? Because I think that's quite an interesting line.
Where the line is?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, to be honest. Or
do you think it should be an Odyssey question?
My gut call is put it to bed because next Tuesday we're going to have a shed load to talk about anyway.
Yes. Yeah, next Tuesday is going to be a busy show, and we hope that you will join us for that. So, just for a bit of fun, we'll go with the D&D question. Which D&D class do you think matches which Lave Radio crew member?
Why is it always us? Why can't we just pick on a squadron in the community or something?
Because basically, the amount of people that have said necromancer for you is quite surprising.
What?
Right. I think if nobody's got any other business, I will round out the show with the usual shout-outs. So first of all, big hello to our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio. They broadcast on a Thursday at 8:30. You can tune in at twitch.tv Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you want the audio, just go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We'll also give shout outs to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts which have appeared. So there's Loose Screws, Elite Week, Flight Assist.
Never heard of him.
No. For the Spanish speakers, there's the Elite Cast, there's the Canon Podcast, the Fatherhood Podcast, Squeaking Fuel, System Chat, the Guard Frequency, who do other space sims as well, and Allagrab AM, which is an Elite Dangerous podcast. For those of you who want a literary discussion about science fiction and fantasy books, please subscribe to the Data Slate podcast, which was created by Station Commander Alan Stroud. And following this, we have the latest Galnet News Digest, as provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. Who has been doing some fantastic. Yeah, actually, I'll give a shout out specifically to Commander Beetlejude, because if you go on onto YouTube and find her YouTube channel, you will actually see her doing actual time delay of her painting artwork or painting models, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. And it's great to see all these fantastic pictures that have been appearing suddenly come to life as she paints them live on her YouTube channel. So we'll also thank all those who have chipped in on the Twitch chat and on YouTube and on Facebook as well, because we'd also like to put special thanks out to Commander Tokoso, who also created the music for the introduction of the show. Yes, but apart from that, that's it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, then you can email info@laveradio.com, hit us up on facebook.com/laveradio, tweet us at laveradio, or you could also join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders like to come out and chat, which you can find at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 GMT and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So, thanks to Shan, thanks to Psychit, thanks to Ben, thanks to N2, and of course, special thanks goes to today's tech specialist, the Chris Mark IV. So, until next time, Commanders, fly safe. But I suppose as of next week, we can say you can walk safe. But then again, if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this?
Sounds like someone having an orange inserted into it. Need a safe word. Space can be loaded. I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Forget the Uranus talk. This is the new outro in action.
You've been dying for something to replace your Uranus.
According to scientists, Uranus is full of methane gas.
That sounds like every climate summit for the last 10 years, doesn't it? Brilliant.
I think you're right, though, Colin.
What have you done with Shan, and when can we have him back?
I don't know. I'm quite attached to this one, to be honest.
I think that is the truest thing I've heard you say.
And now, Shan.
Oh, okay. I'll start with the positives.
Yeah, that butt clenching really was awesome.
Right. Interesting. Personally, for me, I was just actually glad to see it going to be burnt in my brain forever.
Good stuff.
Galnet News Digest, 23rd of March 3307. We read the news so you don't have to.
In this week's news, Ida gets ideas.
Sirius dodges security payouts.
The portable eyeball remover.
The scribbling senator speaks out.
Ida gets ideas. With Operation Ida sweeping through the damaged starports at a rate of pretty much one per day, it won't be long before all 9 damaged starports are back in one piece. That's assuming the Federation can get the fires in Liqingjiao under control before Thursday. The stations repaired so far are Lave Station on the 19th, Dublin Citadel in Gateway on the 20th, Shan Market in Camadeno on the 21st, and Ito Orbital in Ria will have been repaired by the time this bulletin is broadcast. If everything goes to plan, the stations will have all been repaired by Saturday the 27th. What used to be an almost Sisyphean station repair task, completed in record time. So, what will Operation Ida and all the other repair organisations, squadrons and wings do once the repairs to stations have been completed? Will they start repairing things that aren't broken? It's a terrifying thought, but no. Operation Ida has something far more fascinating up its sleeve. It's creating art. It's a little known fact that those yellow screens on the outside of stations are there to conceal the artwork Operation Ida is installing. Dublin Gateway will be painted entirely beige, in honour of politician and amateur mixologist Edmund Mann. The Prime Minister's signature good looks and coif of black hair will adorn the side of the station. A giant image of the Emperor playing croquet will bestride Shan Market in Camadeno, and a sharply dressed Shadow President Felicia Winters will enhance Ito Orbital in Ria. In the Lave system, huge images of the Lave radio crew will welcome commanders arriving to collect their allocation of Lavian brandy. There will be a 30-metre tall image of Commander Adler Weiss painted over the windows that surround the mail slot. Which lucky inhabitant gets to peer out at the galaxy from Ben's left nostril every morning? There will be a giant Shan holding a "This way for the mystery tour" sign. There will be a facsimile of Commander Phoenix Defire holding some of his giant miniature spaceships. And there will be an enormous Commander Psykit at the controls of the orange Sidewinder, looking just a little disgruntled that it doesn't handle like a Corvette, and simultaneously looking up ship builds on ED Engineer.
In unrelated news, following information that was released that the bombs that so badly damaged 9 starports were assembled on the stations, commanders are requested not to take any contracts from the mission board, asking for the source and return of 30 tons of assorted Thargoid body parts. Sirius dodges security payouts. The Sirius Corporation, together with the Federal and Imperial Navies, have been accused of taking unusual measures to avoid having to pay out the rewards for bounty hunting during the 2 weeks of the truncated Galactic Summit. The Spirit of Laelap's megaship, which is the only place the rewards can be claimed, has been moved from Sirius to Luyten Star and hidden in the rings of one of the gas giants to make it harder to find. But those commanders who've gone to the effort of locating the megaship soon find that their troubles aren't over. The Spirit of Laelaps is moving through the dangerous boulders of the ring at an estimated 2 kilometres per second, fast enough that not even the most finely tuned steed is able to catch up with the megaship. The only way to land on it appears to be to drop out of supercruise at high speed and faceplant into the side of the station. The Sirius Corporation and the Federal and Imperial Navies have been contacted for comment, but have so far refused to answer the call. Appeals for assistance to the Pilots Federation have so far fallen on deaf ears. The Spirit of Laelaps, the megaship named after the hunting dog that always caught its prey, has turned into the Timesian Fox, which, as evidenced by the straggle of spaceships boosting hopelessly after it as it orbits, can never be caught.
The portable eyeball remover. The Pilots Federation has been getting all excited in the countdown to the start of the Odyssey Permit Alpha trial, which is now less than a week away for those with the PC flight control system, but unfortunately still around 6 months away for ships fitted with the Xbox and PS flight control systems. Not only have they been posting numbers suggesting a glacially slow rocket launch, they've also been showing off some of the useful tools commanders will be able to make use of when they get out of their ships and walk around on foot. Some of them are particularly useful for those commanders wanting to be a part of the local economy in the newly accessible surface sites. These are the tools they have proudly shown off to their members.
The barcode scanner.
Manufactured by the Energy Link Corporation, the barcode scanner is used at supermarket checkouts in all settlements. They ensure that shoppers can be charged quickly and accurately for their purchases and will be an essential tool for commanders wishing to earn a few extra credits with a part-time job. At settlements in a state of anarchy, the barcode scanner can be used to hit ram raiders repeatedly over the head until they pay for the goods.
The pricing gun.
This handy tool is used to apply pricing stickers to food and other consumables at the settlement stores. The basic model can only produce labels that say 1 credit 99, which makes it useful in the 199 shop. But if you take it to an engineer, you can have it modified to print different labels for values up to 9 credits 99, allowing you to make money from your part-time job far more easily.
The extendable rope machine.
This device works as an extending dog lead and skipping rope. Used in conjunction with a grappling hook, available only from the engineers, it can be used to climb vertical buildings if you don't have an SRV handy. This enables the Mission Impossible mission type, where you enter the building through skylight and attempt to steal the void opal without triggering the laser beam alarms.
The Dyson multi-tool.
This versatile multi-tool is primarily used for removing the stones from olives, but it can also be used to painlessly and easily remove eyeballs for cleaning. When a special engineering has been applied, it can also be used as a massager for use in the privacy of your cockpit. It's handy during multi-crew when you want your crew member to hurry up, but there's also apparently a highly satisfying solo mode.
The scribbling senator speaks out. Senator Drew Wagar of the PRISM system, widely known as the scribbling senator, has spoken out in no uncertain terms about the terrible injustice meted out on the Galnet News Digest outlet. Galnet Digest had approached the Pilots Federation offering to make fun of the forthcoming Odyssey landing on planets alpha permits, and to be as generally negative and counterproductive as it could possibly be. But the Pilots Federation unaccountably turned the request down, rudely suggesting that Galnet Digest buy the permit just like everyone else. This is clearly contrary to the Galactic Human Rights Convention, as well as being contrary to the principles of freedom of speech. Senator Wagar, who as well as writing history books is also an accomplished lawyer, agreed to take up the cause, describing the Pilots Federation action as an outrage and arguing that it is positively Orwellian for the Pilots Federation to refuse to give out free permits on the flimsy premise that Galnet Digest is an entirely undesirable entity. It's just like if an NMLA terrorist answered yes to the "Are you a terrorist?" box at federal immigration. Denying them entry on that technicality would be an utter travesty, completely counter to their human rights. Any bombed starports that might result from allowing them entry would be an unfortunate but acceptable consequence of permitting the terrorists inalienable freedom of expression. The good senator's mood is described as apoplectic. Meanwhile, the well-known literary critic Yamix has written to Senator Wagar, describing his history books as total shit, his plotlines as thin as tissue paper, and the characters as shallow and unconvincing, and asking for a free signed copy of the next one.
And that's this week's Galnet News Digest. Galnet News, we bought the alpha permit, and if you want it, you have to buy it too. but it can also be used painlessly. It is handy during multi-crew. It's handy during multi-crew when you want your crew member to hurry up.